A devastating wave of violence has struck Gaza City once again, claiming the lives of at least 14 people overnight due to intense Israeli airstrikes, according to health officials. This marks a sharp intensification of Israel's military operations in the area, paired with urgent calls from Israeli authorities for Palestinians to evacuate the region. But here's where it gets controversial. While Israel insists the goal is to dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, the human toll and humanitarian fallout are staggering. These recent assaults come amidst growing frustration from Western nations over the escalating conflict in Gaza. Some of these countries are now shifting their diplomatic approach. As early as next week, during the United Nations General Assembly, several are expected to recognize Palestinian statehood. Portugal, for example, has not only announced its intention to recognize Palestine, but has set an official recognition date this Sunday. This move aligns Portugal with other Western countries like the UK, Canada, Australia, Malta, Belgium, and Luxembourg, all reportedly preparing to officially acknowledge Palestinian statehood in the near future. This Israeli campaign, launched just this week, represents a significant step up in a conflict that has already deeply shaken the Middle East. It likely pushes any hopes for a ceasefire further out of reach. The Israeli military maintains it aims to completely destroy Hamas's military infrastructure. But it has been clear that this operation could stretch out over several months, illustrating the complexity and prolonged nature of the conflict. To grasp the full scale of the crisis, consider the toll. Over the past 23 months of sustained Israeli bombardment, more than 65,000 people in Gaza have lost their lives. Vast swaths of Gaza's territory have been reduced to rubble, while nearly 90% of the population has been forced to flee their homes. This has culminated in a dire humanitarian emergency, with experts warning that Gaza City is currently facing famine conditions. Dr. Rami Mana, who oversees Shifa Hospital, where some of the victims were brought, shared a heartbreaking detail. 6 people from the same family died when their home was struck just before dawn Saturday. These victims were relatives of the hospital's director, Dr. Mohammed Abu Salmiya, underscoring how deeply personal and devastating the toll has become. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Red Crescent reported that 5 more individuals were killed in another attack near Shawa Square, amplifying the tragedy. Israel's military has remained silent when asked about these specific strikes, not providing an immediate response. In recent days, Israel has been urging a mass evacuation, asking hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who have sought refuge in Gaza City to move southwards to what it designates as a humanitarian zone. While many Palestinians have fled, either on foot or by vehicle, taking advantage of newly opened corridors for evacuation, a significant number remain behind. Some are too weak to move. Others lack the means to relocate. And a large portion simply refuse to abandon what little remains of their lives in the famine-stricken city. This forced displacement is raising alarms among humanitarian organizations, which warn that uprooting so many people could worsen the already catastrophic crisis. These groups are calling for an immediate ceasefire to allow aid to reach those in desperate need. Adding to the tragedy, UNICEF recently reported that life-saving therapeutic food intended for thousands of malnourished children in Gaza was stolen from 4 of its trucks. Armed individuals reportedly held the drivers at gunpoint near UNICEF's Gaza City compound and seized the supplies. Amar, UNICEF spokesperson, emphasized, these food supplies were critical for treating malnourished children where famine has been declared. It was a life-saving shipment sent amidst severe restrictions on aid delivery. The theft highlights the dangerous and desperate environment aid organizations contend with on the ground. Israel's military quickly accused Hamas of being behind the theft, alleging that the group diverts humanitarian aid to support its military efforts. However, the United Nations disputes this claim, pointing out the safeguards in place to prevent significant diversion of aid resources. Since the outbreak of this devastating conflict on October 7, 2023, following Hamas's attack on southern Israel that killed around 1,200 people and led to the abduction of 251 hostages, the Gaza Health Ministry, operating under Hamas's authority, reports the death toll in Gaza has surpassed 65,100. While the ministry doesn't specify how many victims were civilians or militants. Its figures are generally regarded as reliable by the UN and independent analysts. There remains considerable controversy here. What responsibility does international law place on the parties involved? How do we balance the fight against terrorism with the urgent need to protect innocent civilians caught in the crossfire? And with hostages still held in Gaza, fewer than half believed alive, the human stakes couldn't be higher. This conflict is far from over. As the world watches, international opinions are sharply divided. Are the military actions justified as self-defense, or are they fueling an ever deeper humanitarian disaster? What should be the priority, security, diplomacy, or humanitarian relief? Share your thoughts and join the conversation.